What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman. I'm here with Football with Oz, Austin, for episode 21 of Against the Blitz. And today it's going to be pretty cut, dry, and simple. We're going to go through our favorite sleepers for the 2025 NFL draft. And we're going to try and keep it as original as possible because we've been doing a lot of draft content lately, talking about a lot of different guys. So we did our best to avoid any sort of overlap with the last few episodes. So there's a lot of new content coming here in this one, and I'm pretty excited for it.
This is like my Super Bowl. Finally getting like we have worked past the weeds of like the top 50, top 100, and now we're getting into like the nitty-gritty homework doing of the scouting department. So I'm stoked. I have only talked about one guy on here, and it was very brief, so I'm happy to like get even deeper than that because most of these guys exist on day 3 or likely undrafted. So today we have compiled like kind of like a list of pros and cons about these players, kind of giving you like a pro comparison to kind of give you an idea of what kind of player they play like. And that was the hard part. So I'm actually really excited to see what guys you came up with for everybody.
Yeah, I have quite a few, and I just know that the way comparisons work, somebody could give a comparison that in their mind makes so much sense, and then someone else hears it, and you're like, "What the fuck are you? Like, what are you talking about?" And I feel like that's gonna happen with a few of mine, but I just there's just something about the way like some guys move or the way some guys block or shed. It's just like, wait, I know that guy, and then I'm like,
as long as we're not saying like Terrence Ferguson to Kelsey, everything else flies.
Like there was one rep, there was one play I saw. He was running, and I'm like, those strides. I've seen those strides before. I'm like,
that's 6'5" stride.
But yeah, I don't think I have any of that. I don't think. No promises. All right. So we will start with quarterback. And I'm going to keep it a buck. I really didn't write anybody down. And kind of for the reason you touched on, I think we talked about quarterbacks to this capacity slightly before. And they're just really there's just nothing. It's so uninspiring. The one guy that I was looking at that I was going to consider, but kind of fell out of love with after doing further research with Graham Mertz, the Florida quarterback. And I was like, he looked decent at his pro day. I know he tore his knee, and it looked like he was. What's the receiver's name? Shamir. I can't remember the Florida receiver that he was throwing to at his pro day, but he looked pretty good doing so.
Shamir DK, yes.
Shamir DK, yes. But I don't know. I went to go watch him a little bit more, and I just wasn't in love with him, so I kept him off. But that was the one guy I was like, okay, maybe he consider. But otherwise, throw this class out the fucking window.
Yeah, I mean, when I went after this, I wasn't even looking for starters. I was looking for like who can be this class's Heineke, and that's actually kind of who I comped to this player. I picked Max Brosmer from Minnesota. That's not my official comp because my official comp I actually picked was Colt McCoy. He measured in around 6'1.5", 215. Nothing special with like the build. He's muscular, but he's not tall. Nothing special with his arm, but everything to do with him is like pure leadership, football IQ, experience, really good anticipatory thrower, fairly accurate, really good touch, but just kind of lacks any starter upside because his athletic profile and his arm are just kind of below average and all that. But like I see a good backup here, and I really like his ceiling as a backup.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I guess I was probably evaluating things from a starter perspective, but if you kind of lower the expectations a little bit, and you're like, what's the purpose of these players? And I probably could have had a little bit more of an open mind, but that's an interesting one because I saw Max too. I didn't really dig into him too much, but Colt McCoy, I mean that's not the worst comparison of all time. You to say you're comparable to Colt McCoy, I'd say that's
he made like $35 million over his career as a backup quarterback. Like I would be super okay with being Colt McCoy. He played for a little bit as a starter, was playable. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not the worst thing in the world to just be a high-end QB2. And I think that's what Brosmer is. So I have no problem with that.
That might be the best job in like the world, being a backup quarterback. You don't have to get hit, but you're going team to team, just making buck after buck, and you're just there enjoying the ride. Like you might have to play a few games here and there, or play a few snaps, but you're getting paid millions of dollars just to hang around. Like,
it's like how Alex Moran was created.
Yes, seriously. All right. Well, yeah, and like I said, I honestly I wrote QBs and then did like the line through the
cross.
The cross out. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. But to make up for it, for running backs, I did have two guys I wanted to touch on. And I did start out my planning trying to highlight more than one. And I'm like, yeah, this is going to absolutely kill every minute of my life. So I got to just pull back a little bit. But for running back, to do have two. And to start with, I went with Woody Marks, the USC back. You know, he's a guy that probably projects out as a third down scat. But to me, I was watching him and there was a little bit of James Cook without the home run speed to it. It was like, it was weird because obviously that's James's forte is, you know, he's got the long speed and Woody doesn't necessarily. But to me, when he gets the ball upon the handoff, he gets shot out of a cannon. And I feel like that's the way with Cook sometimes. And he just gets going. And once he gets to that second level, he's slippery, he's shifty, similar to Cook. And I do think if he probably put on a little bit more weight, he probably could churn. I mean, James Cook churns through piles. Like his legs always are going and, you know, offensive lines are pushing him forward. I think Woody kind of could do that if he had a little bit more weight put on. But I don't know. I think similarly, James Cook is thought to be more of a receiving back, but the guy's hands are weak, so I don't really see him that way. I don't think his route tree is that extensive, and I feel like Woody could kind of fulfill that similar type of receiving back as well. But yeah, I thought Woody Marks out of USC, and I think his stock has probably fallen a bit since like 2023 going to 2024 and then 2024 to now. But I still like Woody. I thought I liked what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, he's just the offenses he's always been in were kind of West Coast heavy passing offenses. He's never really gotten like a chance to line up in single back and really like show off a lot of volume. He's always been like a high volume receiver, but his body doesn't always tell you that. Like he tells you he could be a good runner. Like he's gained a lot of muscle the last 3 years. I could definitely see him being that. He doesn't have a ton of like wear and tear. He's not like Genty where he has like 300 carries last season. So yeah, I mean, there is a hive that exists about Woody Marks, and I think that you're just going to join that now because I do like him. I think that he's just going to get lost in a really good class as a guy that doesn't have any like special qualities, but like he kind of just does everything pretty well to be like a high-end third down back in the league. I don't see why he couldn't be that.
Yeah, I mean, he caught a ton of passes. Like that was also the big thing with him. And it's not like because he was really a matchup issue. He just was always available and he was reliable. And that was kind of Woody's game. But I mean, one of the first plays I saw from Woody was the strip sack on Ken Grant. What Ken Grant had he was taking the fumble, and Woody Marks came out of nowhere, hawked him down, and then stripped it out of Ken Grant's hands and recovered it. Like it didn't even hit the ground. It was actually ridiculous. So that was my first running back. I'll let you touch on yours before I ramble.
I went local for me. I went Corey Kiner from the University of Cincinnati. He's a guy that grew up just down the road, went to LSU, transferred back to UC, and then became really productive. I believe off the top of my head, he was second or third in missed tackles force in all of last season. So like when you think of the word bowling ball, that is Corey Kiner. He's like 5'9", 210, very low to the ground, huge legs, great contact balance. Probably the angriest runner in this class next to Scatterbo, it felt like. Like he's an angry bowling ball. So when I thought of angry bowling balls, I went James Robinson. Like this guy runs just like James Robinson's legendary Jacksonville run. And I just felt like he's that kind of player. Like nothing athletically special about him. But if you put him as the starter randomly, like his rookie year, I could see him popping off for 1,000 yards. Like he's just kind of one of those guys. So big fan of Corey Kiner. Not ever going to be like a full 3-down back because his receiving profile kind of sucks. But if you need an angry bowling ball, he's that.
Yeah, if you need a guy to plug in and you need an 1,000-yard season because your guy goes down, like those are the best kind of running backs.
Every single time.
Yeah, literally. Like the Algier wasn't projected to be the starter of the year the year he was drafted, was he?
Was he with Pat? I think he was with Cordero Patterson when Patterson was like a starting running back for a bit. Yeah, I don't know who was supposed to be the starter at that point. But yeah, he was not. He was like a 4th or 5th round pick from BYU. Comes in as a bowling ball and just tears it up, 1,000 yards. Like they do it all the time, and I think Kiner can do it again.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that goes along with your quote that did well on our TikTok. don't let Tyler Algier stop you from drafting Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, I know.
That was a good one. But the Tyler Algiers, the Corey Kiners, they have a place in this world too.
They do.
My second running back to quickly touch on, and this one was pretty deep. I went with Trey Stewart out of Jackson State.
Yeah.
This kid, I mean, transitioning from D2 to Conference USA and just like being as dominant as he was, like that's not an easy jump. Like to be able to do that and make it look as seamless as he did. Like I mean, the kid was dominant, and I didn't realize he came from D2 at first. And I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, obviously weaker competition. He's just a good back, but to hear where he came from and to still do what he did was pretty unbelievable. I mean, he was 7th in yards, 5th in he had 20 touchdowns last season. He was tied for 12th in missed tackles, forced. I mean, to me, this kid, he's got the long speed. He's good in the open field. It just, of course, with any prospect against some weaker talent, you have to wonder how it's going to translate. But for me, seeing the initial translation period from D2 to D1 to begin with was enough for me to be confident that, he deserves to be drafted. So the thing with him is he just also was never really asked to pass protect because he was just getting the ball like all the time. So we don't really know what's going on with that. And he does have a lot of wear and tear on him. Like he came from Limestone and he was used a ton there. And then he was used even more at Jacksonville. So not sure what type of wear and tear he will endure at the NFL level, but I struggled with this comp, but I ended up with Chase Brown.
Okay.
I think Chase Brown, another guy that is thought to be, another higher upside receiver. That's initially what he was coming into the league, like the third down guy for Cincinnati. But to me, I don't think Chase Brown does anything extensive out of the backfield, at least as far as a route tree goes. I don't think his hands are exceptional. He just is kind of what I was referring to with Woody, just reliable out of the backfield, some guy that you could check it down to the flats. And I don't see why a guy like Trey Stewart couldn't be that. So
yeah, there's also like a huge Trey Stewart hive that exists too.
Yeah.
Every single time I talk about like underrated running backs, there's always one commenter that says Trey Stewart, check him out. So I did, and like he is legit. And like, yeah, the wear and tear is a thing, but like, I mean, if we can predict, he's going to come into the NFL and probably not touch the ball for a little bit. So like, it kind of gives you like a recovery period of like, he was used a ton, probably will take a year or two off of touching the ball a lot, but then if he ever gets his chance, like, should be good to go, and it shouldn't be too much of a worry. So, yeah, I like that pool a lot. He's a guy that's like almost entirely projected to be undrafted, and probably will with how deep this class is. But like, I could see a team scooping him up as like a priority UDFA and like actually giving him good reps.
Yeah, I do think he will be 100%. Like if this was any other class, like he might get that late round flyer, but there's just no way in this class.
Yeah, there's like 30 of them, like legitimately 30 running backs that all could get drafted, which is insane.
Yeah. All right, so that will take us to our wide receivers, and I'll let you knock this one down first.
Dude, I like this guy a lot, and I didn't hear a lot about him till the like end of the season kind of priority top, but Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. Weird guy. I couldn't actually find a pro comp for him when I looked online. He's 6'3", 214, and I ended up settling on Cedric Tillman. He has really, really good hands. He's a really good blocker. And dude, his catch radius is ridiculous. Like if it's thrown to his ankles or like 6 feet above him, he is getting it. And he does kind of like struggle to separate. And he's kind of been like in college for a while. So like you do worry if a guy can't separate after like 5 years in college. That might not ever happen, but he's so athletic that I feel like it can. And even then, Cedric Tillman doesn't separate that well, and he just has a good role on a football team. So if he can do it, I think Isaac Tesla can do it.
I like that. How tall is Tesla? Because I looked at him, and 6'3", he is big. Yeah,
so
I came across
6'3" and a half, 214.
Okay, I came across him too. I didn't dive into him too much, but what's he been like 5, 6 years probably into?
I think he's about like a 5th year, maybe 6th year. Because he started either D2 or FCS, and then moved his way up to Arkansas.
I think
So it's
I think he'll earn a flyer late. I don't think he'll be undrafted entirely though.
No, I've seen some
so.
people as high as like a 4th round grade on him.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't even know who he is, but yeah, I think he does get drafted, but just not for a while.
Yeah, I mean, another portion of this class with the wide receivers, it's not it I don't want to call it top heavy, but it kind of
Kinda.
is.
I
It kind
think
of is.
my 3rd round guys I don't feel great on, but the 2nd round guys I love. So like right after that little area, you get to like the Jalen Noels, the Jalen Royals, and then it just falls off like right after that. So any of these kind of guys, I'm fine throwing a flyer at them.
Yeah, right. They once you get to that muddy range, like anybody can go anywhere.
Yeah,
no preference.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, I picked a guy that I heard of briefly, but not nearly as much as I should have been hearing about him. And I know, folks like yourself are definitely more aware of who he was prior than compared to I was. But I went with Torrey Horton, the Colorado State receiver, and he is somebody. And the reason why I call him more of a sleeper is because I just love him so much to the point where I think he needs to get almost overdrafted. He tore his ACL in 2024, so he missed a lot of time there. But then he was at the combine. He ran a 4.4. So, I mean, I think that puts almost any worry to rest as far as how he's recovered. He had back-to-back 1,100-yard seasons, 8 touchdowns before he tore his knee. He wasn't asked to run too much of a route tree at Colorado State, but I don't see any part of his game that wouldn't really allow him to do that. And the part about him that I love the most is what I wrote down specifically is he's like a QB's best friend, the way he plays. And those are my favorite types of receivers, are ones that are always on the same page, always available for their quarterback. And whenever there is an opportunity to come back to the ball, or, kind of what it reminded me of how Devontae Smith is. And I'm not going to say that he's going to be Devontae Smith, but there are so many times where I feel like Devontae is coming back to Jalen Hurts and making a tough catch on the sideline through traffic. And, his hands are, someone's punching through the ball, but, Devontae Smith is able to hold on to it. That's kind of how I view Torrey Horton. And he only had like less than a 5% drop rate over the last 2 seasons. So Torrey, to me, is, like I said, a best friend for a quarterback, the way he continuously follows passing lanes as quarterbacks are scrambling in the backfield and stuff like that.
Yeah. Dude, I love Torrey Horton. I know like his stock fell off pretty hard after that injury. And I don't know why it didn't really climb back much this season. I know some people thought that he was like not entering the draft because of this TikTok that was going around, but he's a beast. I remember watching him against Colorado, like the first time that Colorado was big. Remember like that shootout like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And he made life, like he just kept running the same drag route little thing, but they couldn't stop it. Like they could not cover him over and over and over again. And that's just kind of how he makes a living, of just being like a super reliable, steady-handed, like pretty well built, I'd say, for like a receiver of his caliber. And like you even look at like the Kendrick Bournes of the world that are kind of built that way, kind of play his way, and they make a really good living. Like even if that's your floor is like a Kendrick Bourne, that would be fantastic. Like I don't know if I have a 3rd round grade, but I might have a 3rd round grade on Torrey Horton, which is pretty high for someone that just came off an injury like that. But after he tested so well athletically, like I have no problem with that. He ran really well.
Yeah, right. I mean, the fact that he was able to run a 4.4 like that post ACL is pretty crazy. And I think he, like you said, he's well built. I think he's 6'3",
something like that. Yeah, he's
something. I think he's 6'3", 200 pounds, maybe slightly under. But yeah, I thought everything about him was attractive as far as what you're looking for. It's kind of like that wide receiver 2 kind of thing, like just somebody that you need to be there when you need him. And that's kind of what Devontae Smith has been for like AJ Brown. Like that's exactly his role.
Just a much bigger version. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. And that was kind of the thing. I'm like, well, Torrey Horton's like 20-30 pounds heavier, and
fairly well built. He's like he has like a Tyler Boyd build, but like kind of almost kind of plays like him too. It's kind of interesting. Like he's just solid. Like that's all you can say. He's just solid. But that makes money. That gets you contracts.
That's what I'm saying. And in a receiver class like this, like I don't think there's much upside to be shooting for as far as like these later rounds go. So you want to, I
No.
think, go for these guys that are you could trust.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about my tight end pick. But I'm kind of curious to know who you got, because this tight end class feels like it's really heavy, or like kind of falls off after like the 5-6 spot. So I want to know if you dropped anybody, like if you went deep in this or you went with your guy.
I went very deep.
Oh,
Very deep. Like deep to the point where I'm like, this, I mean, it can't backfire. It's just a shot for the moon. I went Holden Willis out of Middle Tennessee. He's the slot receiver last year, but was like a tight end before that, and then slot receiver last year. But now he was a tight end again last year. I mean, just your big slot kind of guy. I mean, he was tied for sixth with 54 grabs, 865 yards. But the impressive part to me was like he was like running posts. Like he's running posts, he's running double moves. Like this guy's fluid. And of course, if you were going to be a slot receiver at any point in your career, you probably are a little bit of that to some capacity. But yeah, that to me was really the most impressive part. Like he is that matchup nightmare type of player, of course, against who he was playing against, which is the whole
USA or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, dude.
But
I remember finding out about him because I always just check like the most productive tight ends of the week. I follow an account that just keeps you updated with like the weekly stats, and like I kept seeing his name as like one of the most productive tight ends in like every category. I was like, who the fuck? Who is this Middle Tennessee tight end? Like, because I kept seeing tight end. I thought he was like a traditional like wide like inline guy, like well built, but he's just he's more of an athlete than that, which is kind of surprising. So like, I mean, that players of his stature get roles though. Like people like these big slots, they do find a home in a lot of teams, especially teams that kind of run more West Coast, which is pretty popular these days. So yeah, I mean, after the first 7-8 tight ends, I really don't like any of them. So I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on a guy with like legit route running, athletic upside.
Yeah, I was between him and the Syracuse tight end, who I can't remember the name.
Arande Gadsden.
Yes, I was close to going with Arande too, because he was super dominant production wise. I think he was Kyle McCord's most productive target.
I would assume so, yeah.
But I went with Holden. I actually came across Holden too. It was funny. So I was watching a game for Trey Stewart when they played when they played each other, and I'm like, I saw him catch a touchdown on the post, and I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was just a receiver. And then I came to find out it was Holden Willis, a tight end. And I'm like, oh, interesting. But yeah, I mean, he's just not, you're not going to really trust him to line up in line and block. And that's really obviously the biggest problem. But if you really are like dirt poor and you needed Brock Bowers, go ahead, pick up Holden Willis.
Yeah.
Like
dirt poor, yes. Like if you're in the deepest need possible, but it could be fun. It could be fun. But yeah, I went with kind of the exact opposite way. I went with a guy that literally has like no receiving production in his career whatsoever, but he's like the best blocker in the class, Jackson Hawes from Georgia Tech. He has a little bit more of a hive. Most people put him from like tight end 8 to like tight end 12. So people know who he is, but yeah, if you look at his production, I don't know it, but I bet he has like 300 yards and like 1 touchdown. Like nothing impressive. The transfer from Yale though, so there's something kind of interesting with that. But yeah, like I said, even as a like when you think of a blocking tight end, you think of just like a mauler in the run game, and he is, but he legitimately could be a second tackle in pass pro too. Like he is what people think Darnell Washington is out here. Like they think that he is just mowing people into the ground. That is what Jackson Hawes is doing. So when I went to go pick a comp, I kind of settled with Tommy Doyle. I played for the Colts for a while. Nothing ever really overly productive. I think he had like 500 yards once in his career, but the dude is just a mean, big-bodied blocker, and people get contracts that way. Like I remember a podcast of Tucker Kraft talking about how tight ends get on the field, like how do the sleepers find the field, and he just said blocking like 100 times. He could not overstate it. So Jackson Hawes could line up as your Will Dissly, your Drew Sample, whatever tight end 2. They always get second contracts. So I think that he could do it. But I did have Oronde Gadsden as my honorable mention just in case, because he is really fun to watch too.
Yeah, I mean, Oronde, I mean, he kind of reminds you of Arroyo a little bit. You know, if you want to wait. Yeah, just worse, right? If you want to wait like 4 rounds, I guess, instead of Arroyo. But yeah, I saw Jackson Hawes, and I guess it's probably just my taste. I'm looking for the the flashier stuff, and I'm like, I saw Jackson Hawes, and I'm like, yeah, that production's
pretty bad.
What can it mean? Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
But I didn't, so that was why I didn't indulge in him. But yeah, I mean, of course, that's why guys like Lee Smith was traded for like a 6th-round pick like 5 years ago, which is like insane to say out loud. But it's true. Like these guys, they all have roles, like being able to carve an opportunity out on the field, especially with how much nowadays after 2024, like I would anticipate more 12 personnel being implemented in offenses with how running backs influenced offense this year. And, the top teams were all run heavy other than like Kansas City. So,
yeah, it's not even to say Hawes can't do it. He's just pretty underdeveloped as a route runner, but like he played at Yale. I don't expect anybody to develop too much as a receiver at Yale. And then played at Georgia Tech, who really ran the ball a ton, didn't have really a much spread out offense. So I think if he does go somewhere that can kind of take advantage of his athletic ability, because he is a good athlete and he has good size, but just kind of just loosen up his hips a little bit. We don't need him to be anything special. Just need him to be like a reasonable receiver. That's all we need him to do. And I think he can.
I like it. All right. So we'll go on to offensive tackles. I did, disclaimer, divide up my guards and centers this time. I know
this is actually the first time I didn't, because this guy plays both of them. So like I don't need to worry about it.
All right. We'll worry about it when we get there. But for offensive tackle, I went with Holland Pierce, the Rutgers Mountain. Like that guy is the motherfucker's huge. Like, holy shit. Apparently, he walked on to Rutgers. He was like 454 pounds as a walk-on. Yeah.
He also has like the biggest wingspan in the class by like 6 inches. Like it's not even like he kind of has it. He has it by a lot, which is insane.
He has 36 and 5/8 arms. And that's 99th percentile. Third all time. That is like third all time. His wingspan 86, like over 86 and a half inches, 97th percentile, 4th all time. Dude. Like insane. Like the guy is humongous, and it's cool because he's kind of like you see people with size like this, and they might just be big, and that's really all they're good at. But actually, he moves very well for a guy his size, and there's just this year-over-year improvement with his game that's been. It kind of shows how dedicated he is, as far as being a good football player. Like to be able to drop to, I think he's, from what I read, 341 now. So that's a pretty substantial weight drop, over the course of his Rutgers career. So he was also, per PFF, one of the highest graded run blockers in all of college football. So he's for obvious reason, an absolute monster. So I thought Holland Pierce deserved a ton of credit. And I mean, I would take a chance on him in an offensive tackle class that, you talk about Will Campbell and his size, and you're not being sure where he can play. Like, and then Armand Membo, like third, fourth, late third, mid fourth.
I had a fourth. Yeah, that's not too crazy. He was actually the first tackle or first player at all that I wrote a report on, just because like I started watching, and I forgive me because I don't know the Rutgers running back's name. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Kyle like Monangai or something like that. Monangai, I don't know. But I was watching him run, and I just kept seeing this mammoth playing left tackle and just clearing paths. I was like, who the hell is this guy? So I turned off the running back tape, and I just started watching him. Dude, he's a beast. Like, I don't even know how you compare him to somebody because he's that big. I think I wrote down someone like DeJuan Jones, but I was just like, that's you had. Like, who else is that big? Legitimately, like, who else is that big but can kind of move around? Like, obviously his feet are still a little slow, but like the dude's like playing at 370. Like, give him a break. Like, if he can develop a little bit, man, dude, he's a monster.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he only had to, and for a guy that's so big, you would think like for those more athletic edge rushers, they might get a step on him with their speed, and that could lead to him holding. But the guy only had 4 penalties in like 3,100 snaps played, which is like pretty insane. Like a guy like that is that solid. So, Holland Pierce, I know DeJuan Jones DeJuan Jones is like had games where he's like his potential looks like he's going to reach it. And then it's like other times you're like, man, I don't really know what you're going to get in DeJuan Jones this week. And of course, there's always the issue with people that are that big. It's like they're bound to have a lower body problem. They're bound to hurt their knee. They're bound to do something. Point.
Yeah.
And it already happened to DeJuan. So, I'm not going to obviously wish anything like that. But those are the big concerns with people that big. But Holland Pierce, if you need to pave a path, is your guy.
He's a beast. Yeah, he's like not the best tackle prospect, but like, dude, there's some people that would take him so early. Like, I bet there's somebody sitting in a war room, like, debating taking him in the second. I bet somebody's going to do it. He's just that big. Like, put him in Stoutland University. Oh, my God. Imagine him just taking over for Lane Johnson. You just have him and Mailata being like the biggest tackle duo of all time. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I didn't think of a current tackle, but the guy that I picked did play tackle for like 3 years. I went Joshua Gray from Oregon State. This is like my guy. Like I think the consensus is like 6th, 7th round pick kind of for him. I have him as like a 2nd or a 3rd. Like I am very high on him, but he's like 6'5", 299. He went from tackle to center to guard. So he's played literally everything. I think the guard tape was his worst, but he only played there for 1 year. So I'm not going to like really hold that against him too much. He's like freakishly athletic. All of his testing numbers were in like the top 87 percentile. Decent height, decent length for being an interior prospect. Super high IQ, super angry. Has like, it's hard to say to describe his grip strength, but it's like having like dad strength. Or like he just plays like he's so much older than you because he's so much stronger, but he's probably faster too. So I ended up settling on Zach Tom as a guy that is a tackle. He was thought of as a guard prospect or even a center prospect, but he was like so athletic as a right tackle, even though he had like 1 percentile length, that he's just that good at it. So having a guy like that can play legitimately 5 offensive line positions is so valuable. That I have Joshua Gray as a 3rd round. I'd say 3rd round grade. That's where I'll put him.
Wow. What team do you think would be prone to reaching, I guess?
Reach on a guard? I don't know who plays so like it's somebody that doesn't need a specific position, but just wants a good lineman. Yeah. Kind of like how the Packers did with him. Like, I don't know. I feel like that like a 49ers fit would be fun. I kind of like that. They picked up who did they Pooney last year. From Kansas. They kind of they picked him up. I was a big fan of him last year. I think he could do it there too.
They are a team that will, absolutely be on the hunt for any sort of depth offensive line in the first. If they don't take one in the first round, it will 100% be in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up going because I don't think there's a none of these guys have a consensus draft draft round per se. So then that's the fun of the sleepers because there's always going to be a guy or two that Cole Strange is their way into the first round.
I thought about comping him to Cole Strange because it kind of looks like him. He's like the same size, same build, but he's just better than Cole Strange. That's why I didn't want to comp him to that because it would just leave a bad taste in your mouth.
So he was your tackle, right? Or was
kind of both? Both? I could whip up somebody. Like it doesn't matter.
Okay,
but yeah, I'll call them both for now. But if I come up with another one, I'll let you know.
Okay. Well, with that said, I'll talk about my guard real quick, and this is where some overlap will occur. But I did talk about him earlier, Tate Ratledge. I did more research into Tate, and I think to me this is a scheme versatile player. He is athletic. He's strong. He's got 3 years of experience at the highest collegiate level, and he was good the whole time. And I think the biggest issues that I came across, he had tightrope surgery. He also, and that was in 2024. He's got shorter arms too, but when you're playing on the inside, I don't think that's the end of the world. That's kind of the whole point of playing inside is because your length is probably concerning. And I think he is a smart player, but there were times where at least I read he was a smart player. I guess I've never met him, but but there were also times where I'm like, he probably was late to reacting to a stunt or someone looping over. But other than that, I'm a big fan of Tate. Like, to me, this is a top 3 interior guy in this class, honestly, depending on who you determine. Like, if Will Campbell's in your guards, or if Banks is in there, it can vary. But if you're removing those guys, keeping them at tackle, even if you have like Donovan Jackson at tackle too, I think he's absolutely a top three interior guy for me. And I have him as a top 50 player, but I didn't have a comp for him. So that's where I was going to defer to you if you have anybody.
Comp for Tate Ratledge. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I think he plays like Will Fries, to be honest. Like, he kind of plays like, he's like a tall, upright guy who kind of like looks like he could be a tackle off first notice because he's kind of tall. But he doesn't have the length, like the arm length, like you were talking about. More of a run blocker, really, than anything. But there is like a pass blocking upside that you can see because he is athletic, but he wasn't like as almost nimble as you'd hoped, I guess is kind of the word I was looking for. But yeah, I don't know if I have my top 50 off the top of my head, but he's probably pretty close because that dude's like a legit animal. I love Tate Ratledge. Like, he's like every Bengals fan's biggest dream right now. So I've done my due diligence on that guy for sure.
Yeah, I just, when I think of him, I feel like I can see Tate Ratledge playing like almost on any offensive line. Like, I don't really see. I feel like if you could play for Cincinnati and be a guard on Cincinnati, you can probably do it in a lot of other offenses.
Just a ton of pass pro and like very simple run blocking asks. Yeah, like he's just like a guy I think of that's like gap scheme, man to man. Like, you pick out your guy and you wash him out of the hole. I don't know. I really like what I see out of that guy. Easy second round pick for me.
Yeah, he was doing that. Like, he gets to the second, you get him to the second level, and he's mauling. He mauls somebody. And
yeah,
I love the edit of him running the 40 at the combine and the free bird play.
Yes,
free bird's not playing with the mullet going.
He's part of the reason I actually got a little bit lower on Walter Nolan than the consensus is, because I saw Walter Nolan had like the second best or third best PFF run defending grade. And I thought I was going to tune in and just see like the next like Aaron Donald. And then I just saw Tate Ratledge every time he was manned up on him, just like take him into the second level. And I was like, damn, like when he's going up against a pro guard like this, and like I kept thinking pro guard over and over again when I watched Tate Ratledge. So like, even when I wasn't meaning to watch him, he still popped off the screen. So I think that says all you needed to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being able to I think the whole like 3 years of experience playing at Georgia, like that's as close to being a professional as you're going to get for football.
Yes. So. Yeah, it is.
It's like this kid, he's pro ready. Like, this kid's a plug and play now. So did you have a center then? If you kept the tackle and guard lumped, or did you keep?
There is a guy that I didn't really get much of a comp for him because he didn't play much this year, but Seth McLaughlin from Ohio State. It was one that like he's such an underrated player right now because he was at Ohio State and played really, really well until he just like got the yips, I guess, and was just like snapping ground balls to Jalen Milroe to lose the game against Michigan. I don't know what happened there, but he kind of got booed. What?
I'll never forget that.
Dude, he got like booed out of town. Like, legitimately, like he put up like phenomenal PFF grades across the board that entire season, but got booed out of town because of that one instance. Of course, Ohio State picks him up, and he immediately, like off the rip, was just like super impactful. And off the top of my head, I almost want to comp him to Ted Karras, actually, because he's a guy that's like not a special athlete, and he doesn't really look like a center. Like, he looks like a guard because he's not undersized. He's pretty big for a center. Like a big barrel chested, like old school center. And like those guys just make it. Like, you see a lot of athletic centers that come through and then just fail because they can't block. But people like Seth McLaughlin, like, I don't think he's given up a sack in like 2 years. Like, he's legitimately really, really good. So I know he's coming off an injury, but like Ohio State missed him when he went. Like, he was that good. So I think he's my center.
Yeah, I like that. I think I almost went with Seth too. I think people are scared off by the injury. I think that is probably the biggest thing. But I saw some people saying like he probably would be like the consensus center one if he didn't get hurt. Like I think there really is a talk about a high for a guy. I think Seth McLaughlin has one It's like he does, but then there's also like the anti-hive probably that still exists out there.
There is an anti-hive, also because of
Bama.
the fact that like he just snapped the ball at Jalen Milroe's feet to lose the game. But
Yes.
yeah, there really isn't a consensus center one. There kind of is, but I don't think he's all that good. So like I wouldn't mind if someone said Seth was at all.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with that said, I went with somebody that was actually PFF's truly highest graded center in 2024. And going back to Colorado State, ironically enough, Jacob Gardner from Colorado, 6'4", 300. Like I said, the highest graded center. He started 57 consecutive games. Like he is on an active 57 game starting streak, which is absolutely ridiculous. And when I tell you it was like extremely difficult to find a lot about this guy, I mean it. Like I struggled to find anything really about this kid. I did my homework to dig up what I could, but he has a wrestling background. Not only was he a wrestler, but apparently his two great uncles were WWE Hall of Famers, Jack and Jerry Briscoe. So
Jesus.
Yeah, so this guy's got wrestling in his blood. He is the only 5-time All Mountain West selection in history, and he was first team in 2024, and he was also third team All American as well. So he was excellent, and I was kind of confused given the weird energy around the center class. There's just no hype. There's not really much, and there's no one talking about Jacob Gardner. I couldn't find a fucking draft profile on this guy for my life. I was so confused why no one was talking about this kid.
Do you know his measurables? Like, are they that bad that like? Is he like 5'3"? Like how bad could like?
He's 6'4", 300. So I mean, he's
I don't know what's wrong. That's pretty good. Yeah. He must have like 13-inch arms then, because like I don't know. Did he run like a 5'7" 40? Like
I couldn't
for
find
someone
anything.
to like for someone to put up that good of like production, that many snaps, like that being that durable and getting that kind of accolades. I don't know how you don't be projected a little higher than that. Like, because I've honestly heard his name maybe twice. I've never watched him. Like, I don't know anything about him because he's just kind of buried like at the very bottom of this class. Like he's probably 700 on people's boards, but yeah, I've never watched him, but I will now because that's weird that he's not getting talked about more.
He didn't give up a sack all year. Only 3. He not only was he the highest graded, but PFF didn't even credit him for a sack allowed. He only allowed 3 pressures, which led all centers.
Yeah,
so it's like
ridiculous.
What did he do wrong to not be considered for anything? So
yeah, usually like I'll see someone like that, and then they're like built like Willie Lampkin. They're like 5'10", 170, or they have like no athleticism to him whatsoever. But like, if he's any athletic at all, and he's that big, like he should be at least drafted. That's crazy.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I even wrote in my cons Austin Help, but I guess if you haven't,
I've never watched him. I don't know
him either. I
have
really.
No idea.
The only other thing I found about him was he played left tackle for the first 3. I think he was 5 years in college. He played left tackle for the first bit, and he kind of really sucked. And then he went and played. He transitioned straight to center for the last 2 years, and he was excellent. But he has never played a single snap at guard ever,
Weird.
Which is also odd. So I don't know. Weird case study we got here. But as far as I'm concerned, I see no red flags with Jacob Carpenter. And if there are any, no one's written anything about it, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah. It sounds like a beast. So yeah, I'll be watching him.
Yeah, if you check him out, please tell me what you find and what you
I'll make another Twitter post. Yeah. deep dive.
All right. So defense now.
Oh boy.
I had some fun.
I had some fun with the comps. I had a lot of fun with this entire class.
Hell yeah. And we'll start on the interior defensive line. I'll let you go first.
All right. This was a guy I wasn't very high on to start because I don't see him being used in a lot of different ways, but I started thinking about him in one specific role and I loved it. I had I think it's Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech. Do you have that guy?
Yes. No.
So before I start, then I want to know who you had comp to him because like I only saw one guy in my brain.
Well, the obvious one to me was Ed Oliver. but
Okay.
I also don't think he's at Oliver. So,
Nah.
but I also
Really?
don't think. I mean, he is like. I think it's a fair comp. I just felt like I wanted to be a little bit more thoughtful. So
Yeah.
which now that I think about it, I guess it probably isn't more thoughtful. But I went with Geno Atkins
Okay.
as my comp. And I think Geno eventually over the stretch of his NFL career was much more of he was somebody you could play like obviously consistently, and he was a lot better of a run defender than Mr. Peoples here is being projected
Yes.
as. But
Yes.
as far as being explosive with his first step, and this kid is quick, like laterally he gets off the ball. His spin move is fucking unbelievable.
Everything he does is so explosive. Like,
Yes.
like I wrote he has like a legitimately full pass rush arsenal.
Yes.
Like he can dip completely under you because he's like 6 foot tall, and well, like I think he probably has the hottest motor of anybody in this class at the D tackle spot because like, dude, he's a beast. Like I know you don't want him as like a full time 3 down defensive tackle. Like he'll probably get ran over, but as like a rotational pass rusher, I don't see why he couldn't be at least pretty productive. Like he has literally every tool except for length to be a pass rusher. I don't see why not. That's why I put Kalijah Cansey from the Buccaneers, like a short, explosive little like terrible run defender. Never let him be on the field on 3rd and 1 ever again. But like he is an absolute firecracker as a pass rusher at like 6 foot tall, 280 also. So yeah, I love this guy.
Yeah, me too. And I watched some of the tape I was seeing on Twitter and stuff. Like the guy, like explosive doesn't even do him justice. Like he is so fast. Like the ball is snapped and he's just past the guard or whoever he's up against like instantly. He had a sack on Cam Ward, and I literally like pushed my chair back and I'm like, holy shit! He literally spun right past that. Like it's so quick how he spins. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
from the inside.
Like, I can see why someone wouldn't be high on him because like you do want defensive tackle speed more than that. Like especially if you want to draft him like the 3rd or 4th round, like you want a full-time starter there that can play rundowns. But like when I'm scouting for like the Bengals, like a pretty deep defensive tackle room that just needs a pass rusher. That's all they need is like one more guy for that. Like Peebles is literally that. Especially when you miss Geno Atkins so much, like bringing a guy like that, like holy shit, he's gonna get sacks if you let him get sacks. Like just put him on the field, let him explode, let him like just knock some old guard shorts off and just get more sacks on Cam Ward like that. He's a freak.
Yeah, and that was like the one knock was like I guess he only finished with like 11 or something sacks in college or something. The number wasn't great. So people had some finishing concerns, but like a team like Cincinnati, you plug in him up the middle, Trey's coming in and scooping that ass up.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just let him clean it up. Like pressures, like end drives. It's not just sacks, pressures end drives. So like I'd rather have a guy that can get a ton of pressures and cause a bunch of havoc and not get sacks than get a D tackle that just gets a bunch of cleanup sacks for maintaining gap leverage. I don't care about that. Like I want disruption in like the 4th or 5th round, and that's what he'll be. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm glad we both had him because he really deserves. Yeah. He deserves so much more praise.
He gets none. He gets literally none by anybody because he's tiny. He is tiny, and that sucks. But like Kalijah Cansey just went in the 1st round, so why can't a guy with a pretty similar profile also go? Maybe even like 3 rounds after that.
Right, and that's kind of the thing too. It's I know the whole thing too, and it's something I even preach at times. Is like having a player that you feel like can serve multiple purposes and it saves a roster spot and that whole ideology. But I think you can still argue the fact that specialists, when they are very good at something, deserve a roster spot too. So
especially when it's like the most important thing on defense. Like it's one thing if you have like a run defense specialist safety. Like I mean, I can give or take that, but to have like a guy that can like pretty consistently win his pass rush reps from the inside, like I would kill someone for that if I was a coach. I would legitimately like press a red button to kill a random person or someone that I knew if I could get a good pass rusher. It's so important. And I don't get why like people are just okay with not having that.
I better fucking disappear. That red button's gonna catch my ass.
I would kill you for Aeneas Peebles to be on my team.
Did you know he calls himself like Fub or something? It's either Fub or Fub. It's FUB, and I don't know if it's Fub or Fub. I watched like 6 interviews to try and hear someone say it. And I don't.
Fubby.
Fubby.
Just Fubby win that rep. Yeah. I'm gonna put that on Twitter. You just get canceled for some reason.
He's active on Twitter. If you tagged him, he probably would like respond. So
I'm gonna do that. What's up, Fubby?
He probably
Get spin move,
mad.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll move on to our edge rushers here. And before I touch on my guy, I want to touch on somebody that I could not put here because I almost felt like what I watching wasn't real. And that was David Walker.
Yeah.
Arkansas. Like, I don't even think what I was watching was real. Like, I think that was fake film. Like, that was the most mind-boggling, insane highlight reel I've ever seen of a player in history of football ever.
He has like the most fun bull rush in the entire class. Like, I don't understand like how he had hype at one point and then just went away. Like he crushed the Senior Bowl and then just fell off the face of the earth. But like the edge rusher class isn't that deep. Like I feel like he could go pretty high.
Yeah.
I
mean, he is an animal. Like I beg anybody out there to go and look up David Walker highlights. It will be one of the most impressive highlight tapes you've probably ever seen from a defensive player. And I get the whole competition thing. He played at Central Arkansas.
Who cares?
Who cares? Like it's so fun to watch. And I literally couldn't justify putting it here because putting him as my actual sleeper because I was thinking to myself, like, there are times where like the tackle is just like flash grenaded. Like he just doesn't even know what to do. He just kind of stands there and he gets beat and he's like, fuck. Like, and I think these guys had it in their minds. Like they were already beat at times and they would miss their initial punch or something. And it's just like, fuck. And he just is gone and he's at the quarterback in the blink of an eye. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is not real. I feel like this film isn't even real. So
yeah. But who is your real pick?
My real pick was a guy that doesn't have nearly as much of upside. His ceiling, I would say, is much more limited. And it makes for not one of my favorite sleepers out of who I've mentioned so far, but out of guys that I think have gotten some talk, I think he deserves more. And that was Elijah Roberts out of SMU. I think he does have a ceiling, a very foreseeable ceiling, but with him, the versatility we were just talking about, you know, what is valued, how good you are as a specialist, or if you're a versatile player. That's kind of Elijah Roberts' whole shtick. It's just his ability to play anywhere. He's good at rushing. He's been productive as a pass rusher, very productive, but he's also good at setting edges. He penetrates in the run game too. So he is a guy that I thought deserved some more love, but I was having a hard time because if I do see this capped ceiling, especially as an edge rusher, I was trying to think of if he were to go from a versatile guy that can maybe even be 3 downs to the NFL and he was finding himself, excuse me, in a niche role, what would that be? And I was almost leaning more toward being a run defending specialist, quote unquote. Like I thought he was actually very disruptive as a run defender. And he did, although it was inconsistent when it was there, the ability to set the edge was pretty solid for an edge defender. I mean, he's huge, so it helps.
Yeah. Dude, I'm starting to like kind of fall in love with that kind of archetype too. Like for my entire life, like I've just loved seeing these like undersized, like the Nick Herbigs of the world that are just like productive, but like they kind of get washed out the rest of the game. But having these like kind of big bodied rotation, like the Denico Autry's of the world, like the guys that just can live in, be like a rotational edge piece, kind of bounce inside on pass rush reps. Like, I don't know. There's a world where those guys are so undervalued. And I feel like people like him too. Like, I mean, no one really watched any SMU defensive tape because he was the only good player on that team, on that defense. But dude, he was really, really good. I think he kind of popped at the Senior Bowl too, which is where he caught my attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. I mean, of course, a lot of the cons are things to do with his ability to burst, you know, his change of direction. It's like, well, yeah, the guy's almost 300 pounds playing on the outside.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like asking Isaiah McKenzie to catch a jump ball. Like there's just kinds of things that I just hate. I hate when those are the types of things listed for players that you're not expecting him to be able to be good at those kinds of things because you just aren't. Like that's just it. It's just not.
It's the same reason. It's the same reason I don't care about any Georgia or Texas A&M defensive players' production in college, because some teams will just bounce you inside, even though you're like 265, or they'll put you on the outside, even though you're like pushing 300, and they'll just expect you to like be productive from there. But like it just doesn't happen all the time. So yeah, I don't care about production. I care about like good traits, good film, doing well in the Senior Bowl kind of stuff, and he did that. So I like him a lot.
Did you go with David Walker as your guy?
No, but I love David Walker. So like, and I thought about him too. I put Ashton Gilletti out of Louisville. He's a guy that, I mean, some people have him pretty high. I did see a few, but also some people don't even know who he is, which is really weird because like when you talk about like a hustle player, like a guy that just win reps with like pure will and power, like that's him. And he's kind of built short to the ground. He's only about 6'2". Length is mediocre at best, but he's such a good run defender. And he's so good at cleaning up pass rushes because he just doesn't stop. Like you'll notice, like early in the game, he might get kind of stifled out because the offensive tackle's fresh, but he literally doesn't get tired. So like he will just like third quarter, fourth quarter start to just like beat you up, and then he just dominates the game from there. So I had Olivier Vernon was my pro comp as like built short to the ground, super muscular. He kind of looks like Captain Gut from Ice Age. Like it's really hard to like describe the way this guy looks, but like he is just like a beast. He kind of plays like him too, like just pure strength, bad length, but just like I don't know. He's just a really good player with good counters too, like good pass rusher, good run defender. He's a third round pick for me.
Oh wow! So it sounds like a closing pitcher. In a way, like later in the game is when he makes his impact, and that's where he produces.
Yeah, that's why I like Olivier Vernon for him too. Kind of like a cleanup guy, was never like an elite, long time, productive guy, but like he was really good for like a small period of time. That's why I like him there.
I like it. All right, so we'll go to our linebackers now.
I'm so excited here.
This was easy for me, being very local to the player I selected. Yeah, I mean, I think there's, well, I guess I should say its name first. Sean Dolak, the linebacker out of UB, the college that is 15 minutes from me. 6 foot, 221 pounds, coverage linebacker, probably a Will. I mean, I think he could be a Mike, but nonetheless, to me, this is Matt Milano reincarnated. Like, pretty much that's his game in a nutshell. And the fact that he wasn't invited to the Combine, the Senior Bowl, as a first-team All-American, led the nation in tackles. He was the MAC Defensive Player of the Year. He had a game against NIU with 19 tackles, 5 for loss, a pick, a pass breakup, and a 39.1 passer rating against. And it just goes without any sort of NFL recognition. I don't know what was missed here. Like, this is a player that was he's so smart, athletic, highly productive, decorated, and he just got overlooked. I
know he's like
struggling.
He's short, but like he doesn't look tiny. Like he's light, but he's well built. You know what I mean? Like he has a thick base. Like it's not like he's out here just getting mowed down by linemen. Like he's a strong dude. And I mean, when you look at small, like old school linebackers, you usually think like they're bad in coverage, but like I wrote down, like he's like a legitimate like defensive captain in terms of coverage. Like he's the green sticker guy. Like he's a beast. And I actually did also put Matt Milano as like I put Matt Milano like ceiling, Malcolm Rodriguez floor, because like even if not, I don't see how he couldn't be like the best special teamer in the country, like a good rotational piece, but. This dude is like he also tested really well in his pro day, like really, really well. Like even like a 4.53, 4.55, something like that. Like
4.55, yeah.
Jumped pretty well. Like he's actually really, really athletic for being his archetype. So, and that's white. So like he's like a legitimately like he's just a small little like Buffalo linebacker, but he's good. He's like legitimately really, really good. And like I think he's way better than some of the linebackers they brought to the combine. Like way better.
For a linebacker class that was weaker, the fact that he didn't even get an invite is like absurd. Like it's not even like they gave him an invite and he got sick and couldn't make it. He just straight up wasn't asked. Like I don't know. It's like there's some sort of Sean Dolak might be the most disrespected prospect in history. Like
probably is.
How much more can you put on paper? How much more can you put on film to deserve a simple combine invite? Like they invite a lot of fucking people to this thing. It's not like it's that exclusive of an event. There are a ton of players that test.
I guarantee there are linebackers that were invited that will never see an NFL snap. I guarantee there's like 5, and he is going to see NFL snaps. I can almost guarantee it. So like that right there, I don't understand. Like usually, I guess you wouldn't invite a guy like that if you thought he wouldn't test well, but like he would have been one of the best testers of the weekend. So I don't get it at all. TBH.
Yeah, that was the thing. I think that was like the last step in the Sean Dolak evaluation, was waiting for his pro day to see how he would test, because everything else is there. And I could see, like, I guess there are times where I'm like, in game he looks kind of slow and kind of sluggish, but the fact that he still running a 4.5 is not a joke. So he's clearly not. He's clearly not. And he also benched for 25 reps, which would have been third. Amongst linebackers. So yeah, he also checked that box. So I mean, he went from a guy that was probably undrafted to, I would say he can go as high as like late 4th, 5th, early 5th, like at this point.
Yeah, I could see a team. I mean, even the Bills, because he's so local, throw a flyer on him. Like they know how good he was. Mm-hmm. I'm confident in it. So yeah, it's so stupid that he wasn't invited to any of it, because he's that good. But I had an honorable mention, Jackson Woodard from UNLV. I noticed him when he just beat the shit out of Ashton Genty for like 3 quarters. And I was like, who is this? Like, why can't Genty? It was the first game Genty looked human. He still ran for like 130, but like he looked like stoppable. He looked human. And most of that was Woodard playing. He had like 19 tackles that game. He was all over the place. And I looked and he was like, in terms of like sack production, interception production, like he was top 5 in like literally every category. So on top of being a pretty good athlete, he's like 6'3". I think he's getting drafted too. He should be.
Where do you have him on your list of linebackers? Do you have him in the rankable range?
Yeah, I probably have them both pushing top 10 for sure. I don't know exactly where. They're both probably around 10 just because of like the lack of size. But yeah, I think they're both going to be NFL players, like that absolutely get reps.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, with this class coming in, I think absolutely these guys specifically will be. I think they might rise. I mean, who knows how high either of these guys can go? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's so muddy. The linebackers are so muddy.
It is. You're like group of 5, like random productive white linebacker. Like they don't always work, but like sometimes they do. Like Logan Wilson, just try it out every once in a while. Like it
try it out. It's like the taste of the month. Just try it.
Yeah,
this is the restaurant. Yeah. The restaurant's seasonal menu.
The soup of the day. Yeah,
soup of the day.
The blizzard of the month. Yeah.
All right, so we'll go to the secondary, and I'm going to touch on safety first because I'm very eager to talk about this guy. And he's actually David Walker's teammate, so I find myself back in Central Arkansas territory. But Tamarian Wilson, I am sorry if I pronounced this guy's name incorrectly. The latest measurement that I think was correct that I found on him was 6'1", 227, and this is your ideal box dime linebacker type of build. And this guy is like my favorite type of Madden player. Like he just hits, sticks everything. If it moves, he's killing it. That is this kid's game. Like, and he's explosive downhill. He especially against the run. Like if he identifies what's happening in front of him, he's a heat-seeking missile to that ball. And like the first like 5 clips of him I saw were literally like no arms involved. He just launched himself like Taylor Rapp style at the ball carrier, and I was loving every second of it. And like there were times where if he's like the robber in coverage, like if you're the quarterback and you knew anything about this guy, you're not throwing to the receiver that's running toward Mr. Wilson because he probably would get decapitated. And he did, of course, get ejected. I know at least once. So he's got those issues with targeting penalties and
it's not a flag in the NFL.
Exactly.
He won't get kicked out at least. Yeah.
It just comes with that. It just comes with that play style. So, I thought, coverage wise, I mean, he can do it. There were times where he gets caught looking in the backfield, like if there's play action going on and he's, waiting for a ball carrier to come with it through the line of scrimmage. And all of a sudden they're passing. It's like, oh shit. He's not like slow. He's actually kind of got, I won't say an NFL caliber gear, but he looks fast. Like at least
got some wheels. Yeah,
he's got wheels, so he can get back there at times. It's just playing at Central Arkansas. I don't know, going against some better receivers and maybe tight ends more often. It can get slightly scary, but if you need someone to go knock some sense into another player, this is your guy. And I had
the next Vontez Perfect. Let's go.
I had him comped. I mean, you could have I saw someone comp him to like Divine Diablo, I think was the comp he caught. Mine was Keanu Neal, who was one of my favorite Madden. I drafted him in every franchise I did because I would just put him at linebacker and just kill everybody. So I'm a big fan of Tamarian Wilson, if I'm
correctly. I haven't watched like a full breakdown of his tape either. I remember him showing up a few times, I think, with David Walker, but I never actually paid attention to him at all. So I won't give any impact on him. But yeah, if you're like Keanu Neal, I thought Keanu Neal was going to be so good.
Oh my God.
I saw him hit stick Derrick Henry in college, and I was like, this is it. This is Cam Chancellor all over again. This is it, man. Like, but that did not happen. But he was good. But I agree. I love these like downhill box safeties, high IQ guys. So I picked not a huge sleeper, but Jonas Sanker from Virginia. He's not really in anybody's top 6, maybe top 7 safeties, but the dude's like pure football IQ, and it's like purest form. Like if you even plan on running the ball or throwing a screen to him, he probably knows about it, and he'll let you know because he hits really, really hard. He's about 6 foot 206, so he's like reasonably sized. Pretty good length, really good hitter, good enough in coverage where like he'll never be a problem. I ended up settling on Morgan Burnett, who a long-time Packer safety, and he kind of just plays exactly like him. Like if you throw a screen in his direction, like it is a tackle for loss, no matter how many blockers you have over there, because he's there first. And I love safeties like that. That's why I had Jaden Hicks as my safety one last year. Guy for the Chiefs. Like I love players of his category, so I want to have him probably as a top 6 safety on my board when it's all said and done.
Oh wow, top 6. Yeah, I mean that's you have your top 4, and then the next 2. I mean a lot of people probably have what's it guy Latham? What the fuck is?
Yeah, they have almost the exact same grade for me. Like I'm struggling to pick one. I might go ransom over him, but I don't know. Sanker's good.
That's some high praise.
Athlete. He ran like a late 4.4, early 4.5. So it's not like he's slow either. Like he can run.
Okay. Wow. Well, I gotta check him out. I have not done too much homework on the safeties. I went from like I know what's going on with the top 4, top 5, and then I'm all of a sudden in the weeds with Tamarian Wilson. So I kind of like after that, it's like there's this middle ground where I'm like I haven't touched really yet.
The one that was most fun to watch is Katan Crawford from Nevada. That dude is like when you think of like a bouncy athlete, if that makes sense, like just like little like just jittering, like full of like cocaine and Red Bull, like from one end of the field to the other, hits like a truck, like but he's kind of small. They're just so much fun. So like if you want a fun watch, Katan Crawford from Nevada.
Okay, I'll have to add that. Just like I need you to go and watch.
Yeah, Colorado State center. Oh yeah,
him too. Yes, Jacob Carpenter. Remember the name. If you get one thing from this episode, remember the name Jacob Carpenter, center from Colorado State. Quite possibly the most untalked about. Well, actually, Dolak already has that title, but
yeah.
All right, oh wait, we already did safeties.
We're corners now, yeah.
Corners now. Okay, we'll round it out with cornerbacks, and I will quickly touch on my guy. I went with, and I need help with pronouncing his name, Bilal Bilhal
Cone?
Is it Cone? Is it
Yeah.
Cone?
I say Cone. I don't know how.
I think it's Cone. Well, either way, 6'1",
I'll say Cone.
190. 6'1", 190. This is a kid. I thought from what I saw, he's a monster at the catch point. I think he does a good job. There was a rep of him at the Senior Bowl of him kind of like sticking with Jaden Higgins pretty closely. He had a couple good reps there. So a guy that I think high awareness in zone coverage. I think he's got a good feel for it. He's like 5th round kind of range. That's probably where I'll end up. That's probably where I'll keep him. But I think he's a guy that if you're looking for a defensive back in that range, he should be the one.
Yeah.
So
I mean, after this corner class is hard because there's like obviously like the first round guys, and then there's like a slew of like 10 second round corners, and then no one cares about anyone after that.
Yeah.
So I picked a guy that's like right outside of that. I picked Noel Williams from Cal.
I almost went with Noel too.
He's so good, but he's long enough with like probably like the most productive corner in the class. I'd have to say like his interception production is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like at a certain point, he kind of looks like halfway down the field, he is the receiver now. It's kind of how it feels with him. Like once he knows your route, he is the receiver now, and it's your job to try and like knock the ball down because he's getting it. But like there are little questions with like really good long speed. It's iffy. He kind of relies more on just being extremely technical and like spacing himself really well. But dude, he's a beast. And like I struggled with pro comping him because like I heard someone say Deron Bland before, and I like that. I kind of settled on Paulson Adebo, but like you can pick your poison with him because like at a certain point I'm like Stephon Gilmore, and then I had to back off. Because that's irresponsible. But it's that kind of player. It's like not like Stephon Gilmore was never like the fastest player on the field, but like you see like extremely like high IQ, like really good spacing, really good ball skills, good length. I'm like, he could be that. He could be.
I'm a firm believer that no comp is wrong as long as there's a vision. As long as you have a vision, there can't be a wrong comp. You got to just explain it.
The second I did Land Larison, I started writing Christian and I was like, okay, we're going to calm down. But I see it. Not just because he's white. There's a vision.
No, there actually is. Just turn on like 30 seconds of Land Larison.
Legitimately, he plays like him. But like, if I write it down, they're going to beat me up. So I have to just be quiet about it.
Hey, I mean, I also said earlier that if you are dirt poor and need a tight end, then I don't even remember the guy. It's Holden Willis is your guy. So
there you go.
I'm victim. But yeah, Noel Williams was he almost was mine too. And he's the athleticism kind of thing is really what the big con. It's just you can see it like a long list of cons basically can be summed up with like he might not be athletic enough.
It's not an elite athlete. No, he's not. But
there are players like that I refer to them, and this is more so. I more so do this with like people I play video games with. Like there's this one of my friends that I play Rainbow Six with, and he plays on controller. He doesn't like do anything out of the ordinary. He's just solid. He focuses on the fundamentals. He does everything right. His positioning is correct. He always is aiming at the right spot. That's Noel Williams. He's just Mr. Fundamentals. That's it.
Gets it done. That's all I need. In the 4th round, 3rd round, that's all I need. I have him a 3rd round grade. I like him a lot. He's smooth. Like, I don't know. He's in the right spot. He aims correctly, I guess. Like, I'm cool with Noel Williams.
He's not short either. I mean, he's good.
No, he's pushing 6'1", like 200 pounds, just about. It's like 199. So, yeah, there's not a lot of flaws outside of just not being super explosive, but not every corner is explosive.
Right. So I like him too. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So
no special teamers in here.
Oh Jesus, no! Lord help me, save me. Please.
I had my one kicker. I had one kicker. Ryan Fitzgerald, Florida State. Learn the name.
Do you have anything else? It's just Ryan Fitzgerald.
Yeah, he's just an accurate beast. He's so fluid. He just looks like a soccer player playing football. And he's just like he's kind of skinny guy, but that's okay because he's like he's like the next Harrison Butker. That's what I'm going to put on him. I'm going to put that on him now.
Necessarily a good thing.
He is Harrison Butker physically, not morally. He probably loves his. I bet Ryan Fitzgerald loves his wife, but It's neither here nor there.
How old is he? Does he have a wife? It's because probably
I don't know, but he would. I bet she could hold whatever job she pleases. But his job is going to be kicking pure 55-yard field goals. That's all he's going to do.
I like it. Yeah, I'm sure it can't be hard to clear that bar, the Harrison Butker more bar. But okay, I did not get as far as special teamer, so my rope ends there. But I will check out Ryan Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Okay, duly noted. Well, that will wrap up. That will wrap up episode 21 of Against the Blitz. We went through all of our sleepers, guys. We like in the later round. So if you enjoyed, as always, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that fun stuff. Follow the page down in the description. All of the socials will be there. Same thing with our individual pages. Those will be linked down below as well. And if you enjoyed this one, then stick around for episode 22, which should be regularly scheduled.